What would you say your leadership philosophy is that supports your purpose and values?
Oof. So yeah, that's a big one. Yeah, so with connection kind of being at the top of the mountain for me, in terms of leadership philosophy that supports that, I guess I'll kind of think I'll talk a little bit about kind of the operating system that I've kind of used the last 10 years or so, and it's an operating system of threes, just three for you personally, and then three for you organizationally, and it's kind of how I've ran my teams, and I ask everyone on the team to give us three things at all times with whatever they're doing: attention, love, and care. So attention, love, and care, if we can all personally give those three qualities, those three traits, those three energies to everything we do. And I'm talking, Sarah, every text we send, every email, every conversation, right? That means when we start to get a little testy, we start to really try and drive and be right. We slow down and go, hold on, man, like, what are we doing here? Are we giving this our attention, our love, and our care? And it goes to, I like the idea personally too, that how you do anything is how you do everything. And when you think about things that way and you start doing things the right way, and I owe a lot of this back to West Point, but to do things the right way and doing the right way the first time, that's a really, really big deal. So personally, attention, love, and care. If we can always, always, always do that. And then organizationally, I've ran teams that at different levels, right? Division I sports, the military, combat, corporate America, nonprofit land. So all these different places, it doesn't matter what the mission is. If we give it the same inputs, we're going to do all right. So every team I've ever had, there's a few things that are non-negotiable: safety, inclusion, diversity. Like, those things they're core, right? But what we have to do, the three things we all have to do, is preparation, communication, and fun. And I kind of look at those three as like a tripod. That's really the basis. Preparation, if we're prepared, right? If we're putting the work in beforehand, I don't care if it's a speech, a meeting, building something, making a new product, whatever, putting together a marketing plan, developing a nonprofit. If we're prepared, right? If we're doing the work to be prepared, and that's number one. And number two, communication. If we're communicating, right? I've been in so many organizations where, like, people just don't talk, and the silos get shut down, and a lot of that's because we're big bags of emotions, and we get butthurt when somebody says something and we feel they didn't consider us, or they didn't, or they talk down to us, or whatever. They could be having problems at home. They could have spilled coffee on our lap. I mean, there's a million reasons that make people act not as their best self, but we take it all personally, right? And then we shut down. I'm not going to talk to that guy or gal ever again, and it's like, dude, that's crazy. So communication part is huge. We have to be communicating. If we're communicating, if we're prepared and we're communicating, that's great. We're all talking. We know what we need to do. We're ready for it. And then fun. And this is the part that it sounds the most simple, by far the most complex. I talked earlier about the two teams doing the same task, right? I can show you one team that has to go paint a fence, and they're miserable for 5 hours, just miserable, yelling at each other, whatever. And another team we put out there that, like I said, are slapping five, throwing water at each other, having a great time, and the fence comes out pristine, right? It's because they're having fun. Well, let's unpack that, right? Like, what goes into that? Like, how do you get to fun? Like, you tell a first-year leader, hey, you got to have fun. They're going to fall all over themselves without a little bit of explanation. And what I've seen too is the other side of it, leaders that are a little, say a little too excited to have fun. And then the preparation and communication slips because they don't have the skill set to ensure that they keep those standards, right? They kind of slip a little bit, they get a little weak, a little lazy, and they're not willing to have a hard conversation when someone steps out and say, hey man, you got to get back on the rails, right? So to have fun, you've got to establish kind of rails for the train to run on. And then you've got to make it known that, hey, we've got to be on these rails.